Chaya, brucha haba. It's so good to have you here from Yerushalayim. In this week's parasha, Parashat Terumah, we're going to read Vasuli Mikdash V'Shachati B'Tocham. God tells our ancestors that they have to build him a place where God can dwell. Tell me about the place where you and the members of your community connect with God, or does God get to dwell in your Masorti synagogue, since it's a Masorti synagogue in Yerushalayim?
What will make Israel a mikdash, a real mikdash, for God to dwell in, for God to dwell actually not in the mikdash, because you know, right, the parasha doesn't say, the pasuk doesn't say v'shachanti b'tocho, as our rabbis have noticed, but v'shachanti b'tocham.
God dwells among them. Among
them, right. So what is the people, what do the people have to do for God to dwell? What kind of mikdash, what kind of temple does God have to, do they have to build for God to dwell among them? And I think that's an important point, because it shows us that God isn't interested in dwelling in a building. God is interested in dwelling in a people, right? So the people have to build something to make God want to be among them. What do the people have to build? The people have to build, if we take it into the Israeli perspective, the people have to build an Israeli, a country, a homeland for all Jews that will be diverse enough and respectful enough for everyone to have a place in it. For Orthodox, conservative, Reform, secular, Reconstructionist, non-affiliated, anyone who wants to come and be a part of the Jewish homeland and express practice their Jewish identity.
I kind of get from what you said that maybe there are those in Israel who are almost like second-class citizens because of their religious practices or beliefs. Is that what you mean?
Well, you're right. The current situation is such that that's not the case. And you know something? Sometimes it feels like God is boycotting this society. Yes, there are people in Israel who are second-class citizens. There are the conservative congregations and synagogues don't get funded by the government. Conservative rabbis who want to perform weddings, conservative rabbis cannot perform weddings that are recognized by Israel. We can, in fact, nothing that has to do with personal status can we determine. Weddings, divorces, conversion, we can, by the way. Conversions we can, after a long battle led by the Masorti movement in the courts to force the state to recognize conservative conversions and reform conversions. And that is why the Roten bill has come up, because that's actually not the first motivation of the Roten bill, but the initiators of the Roten bill, or David Roten, the initiator of the Roten bill, wants to make sure that conservatives and reforms do not convert anymore in Israel. And that's a big part of the bill, the part that we are all, of course, opposed to and trying to fight, and together with a lot of support from American.
What is the reason that it's so hard for conservative and reform Judaism to operate on a level playing field in Israel? Is it because the country is largely Orthodox? Is it because of something else? What's made it so tough for our movement, in particular the Masorti movement, to succeed where it's succeeding despite all the obstacles in its way?
One of the main obstacles that Masorti is facing is that every single thing that the Masorti movement, or almost every single thing that the Masorti movement does in Israel, is funded privately. And that is despite the fact that every one of us pays taxes. The taxes then go to, some of the taxes go to fund religious activity, but we don't enjoy those funds in return. The funds that we pay, the funds that the government pays for religious activity go only to Orthodox synagogues, yeshivot, batei midrash, houses of learning, etc. The conservative, every single thing that the conservative movement, Masorti movement in Israel does is funded privately, from contributions, from membership, from donations from overseas. And so every building that we want to build, every rabbi that we want to pay, every program that we want to run, every Beit Midrash that we want to open, the youth movement activity, the student organization activity, the mikveh, kibbutz chanaton, everything that we do is funded privately. And that's a huge burden and a huge disadvantage, really, when you look at the general picture. But I would say there's one other hardship that we have, which I think that we are dealing with very, very successfully, and that is the concept of that is common among Israelis who are not religious, who are not religiously affiliated. That once was that once the image of religion in their minds was orthodoxy. Mm-hmm. Because established religion in Israel is Orthodox, that is the face of religion that they encounter most often, and that is what generally was considered to be the religious way.
You remind me from our days in Ashkelon, when they used to say that we had succeeded because the Israeli would say, the synagogue I don't go to is a Masorti one, not an Orthodox one.
And that's funny. You say it, you smile, I smile, but it's serious. It's a very big achievement. It's a very big accomplishment, because we're not missionaries. We're not out to make everyone, think the way we think and do what we do. We do want them to know that this is a legitimate, authentic way of expressing one's Judaism. And when they know that, they feel much better about their own Judaism, because they know there's a way that speaks to them.
That's one great success story. Tell me more about your successes. We've talked about the challenges and the obstacles and the problems, but share with me a little bit more of your success stories. I know that you have many.
I was teaching kids about the Mishnah, what is the Mishnah, and how Torah evolves and is passed down from generation to generation. Each generation changes it a little bit, and I taught them that I told them the story about how Moshe Rabbeinu, when he got Torah at Sinai, he couldn't believe that Torah would ever change that much, and God sent him ahead in time to go and see the Beit Midrash, the house of study of Rabbi Akiva, and Moshe sits there in the Beit Midrash of Rabbi Akiva in the last row, and he doesn't understand anything that's going on because Torah has changed over the generations. I told this story to some children, and 2 weeks later I saw them playing in our Beit Midrash. One of the children was reading from a siddur, and the other children were sitting in different places in the Beit Midrash, and one of them said to me, "I'm sitting in the back because I don't understand at all what he's saying." And someone else said, "And he ran ahead and he doesn't understand. Why did he sit in front?" And you could see how the kids really, the story sunk in and they understood. And we're talking about secular children who had no idea who Rabbi Akiva was, had no idea what Mishnah was, and now here they are learning all these concepts of these basic concepts of Judaism, and learning it automatically. We're not teaching them first, one way and then saying, but you should think about it differently. We're teaching them from the basics, with the ideas that Torah changes and Torah evolves and Torah grows, and each generation makes it their own. And so we're raising a generation of Israelis who will learn Torah from this perspective, and will embrace a different kind of Jewish identity than the one that their parents had rejected.
And it is so clear from that story that you have built a mikdash in which God will want to dwell with them. Kol hakavod. Toda rabba. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat Yerushalayim